The online dating game is challenging, so to give you an edge, I want to share with you 9 mindset hacks that can really help you increase the amount of success and pleasure that you're experiencing. So let's go ahead and get started. I want you to think of online dating much like going to a bar because they're both social and unpredictable experiences. So, as much as you might be familiar with even a certain bar, maybe your favorite bar, you can't necessarily ensure that the night's going to go as predicted, that it's going to be the experience that you thought it was going to be. It's unpredictable, and that's how things are when anything is social in life, whether it's a bar or even online dating. Understand that because in your online dating experiences, some days are going to be better than others, just like going to the bar one night might be better than another night. And some nights are not going to be so good. You're going to have that experience with online dating. Some days you're going to be on fire. Everything is right. People are connecting with you. The messages are being well received. And other times you're going to be hearing nothing, or the messages aren't well received, or you're just not in control of having a great time. Just like a bar, you can't control that you're going to have a great experience every time. It might be not the best music one night, or the people may not be as receptive to your socialization or your advances, maybe, but that's the game. All right. You don't just give up on going to bars, and you can't give up on the online dating experience because you had a rough day. You're going to have rough days, and you're going to have outings at bars where they're duds. I mean, all of us have been to a bar that we thought was going to be a good time, and the music sucked. The drinks maybe weren't as good as we thought, or the vibe was different. The people were different. You can't control it. And you can't control the scene in online dating because can you control who shows up? No. Can you control who decides to use the platform you're on? No. Can you control who's available and paying attention to their phone to either respond to your messages or send you messages? No. All right. You're not in control of so much in this online dating experience that you have to understand that you're going to have to roll with the punches, some good and some bad, just like you would if you go to a bar. If you go to a bar, you can't expect that the drinks are going to be the same strength that they were that one time. And you can't expect that. Well, that one time the music was so great, so that's what I expect they'll always play, and they'll always play my favorite songs every time. No. And some nights you're going to be rejected by people, and it's not going to be a great social experience, but sometimes you're going to have that one connection that you just makes it all worth it. Trust me, you don't stop going to bars. I mean, it doesn't have to be your thing, but you understand the concept that you don't just quit on it because the experience isn't 10 out of 10. And the same thing goes with online dating. I want you to shift your perspective for your online dating failures. I want you to see them more as opportunities because what's the alternative? Are you going to think of them as indictments of your character or take them to heart? And I mean, if you do that, you're going to quickly beat yourself up or you're going to quit this online dating game. And there's no need for that. But you do need to understand how to mentally spin your failures to your benefit. I want you to view them as opportunities. So understand this your successes and your failures, especially your failures, are going to give you a lot of clues as to what you can do better, how you can learn, what you can do differently, what patterns you can recognize so that the next time or in the future you can win more. All right. That's important. And you also want to spin your losses in a way that is just more healthy for you. So, one of the best ones that I can share with you is that if you are disconnected with someone or it doesn't go right and the connection's just not there, that you don't get upset about it. You don't beat yourself up or think that you're any less of a person or the online dating experience sucks. I just want you to think something like, well, good. I'm glad this person doesn't like me and disconnected or told me that they're not interested because that way I can just not waste my time and I can move on towards someone else that might be a better investment of my time and energy. I mean, that's a much different way to experience failure and a healthier one. So, in the online dating game, it's all about spinning your failures into more positive opportunities. So, think of how you can grow, how you can become better, and what you can do differently. There's all sorts of opportunity there, but you got to look for it. I want you to have an expectation for your online dating experience. And normally, I'm not a fan of having expectations because they're usually one way tickets to disappointment, but this one is different. I want you to take on this expectation that online dating is a numbers game. This is both realistic and beneficial towards you in your experience because you have to understand that it's not really that different from the attraction game. I mean, you understand that the attraction game is also a numbers game. You know that you don't get success every time that you walk over and introduce yourself to someone that you found interesting or attractive. You know it's going to include a lot of effort, a lot of failure, and mostly failure, and then some successes that are real, true successes. And those successes are going to be worth it. Well, the online dating game is going to be like that on steroids because It's so easy to send a lot of messages and connect with a lot of new people. It takes little effort. It takes, little courage. So it's going to be happening so often. In 5 minutes, you could message 10 people. All right. And imagine if you spent 5 more minutes. That's a lot of opportunities. And the truth is, you're going to get a lot of failure, a lot of non responses, or a lot of people who maybe just not interested in, but you're going to have more success than you used to in, say, your in person attraction game. Why? Because it's a numbers game and you're playing a lot more numbers in the online dating game than in the attraction game that plays out in person. So I just want you to understand that that's something that you have to come to grips with before you even start playing this game, I hope. Because if you understand that it's a numbers game, you're going to better deal with your failures. And the truth is, it's going to be a ridiculous amount of failures. Failure like never ever on your end before, but it's not so painful through a screen. It's not going to be so much of a feeling of failing and pain when you don't get a response from somebody you send a message to, or somebody takes longer to message you, or someone's just not as enthused or doesn't have the best conversation. You're not going to view it so poorly, right? So that's what we want to do. We just want to shift our perspective right here a little bit so that we understand, hey, this online dating game, yeah, I might have more success, but I'm also going to have a shit ton of failure here. And I'm just going to have to accept it because this is not just a numbers game. It might be the numbers game of my life. I want you to enjoy getting to know new people. This may not be something that you're great at, but you can work to become better at it because it really serves you well in this online dating game and, well, any other game of love, but especially this online dating game. If you enjoy getting to know new people, that means that you're going to be really skilled or become skilled at identifying and appreciating value in someone. And when you do that, that person will look at you differently. They'll see you as special, unique, and rare because you are. Most people don't have those conversations or easily recognize what's so special about someone. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but with everyone you encounter, there is something to appreciate and value about them. And when you draw that out and when you recognize that, that makes someone just look at you differently and that'll change your interactions. People will respond to you differently. They'll value you more just because you value them more and recognize that. And if it's genuine in what you're appreciating, man, you just skyrocket as far as how people perceive you. So it's very much a hack to do better. You'll get better messages, you'll get more frequent messages, you'll have better connections all around if part of your process is, I'm going to work to, well, if you're going to work at something, work to enjoy meeting new people. All right. If you enjoy that process, if you can make it a game, make it a game to find what can I identify that I should appreciate and value about this person. Because if you haven't gotten to that point yet in your connection and your communication with someone, you're missing out on a certain level of a connection that you just simply can't get until you do that. So make it a game. Find things to uncover, and you'll have to uncover them. That's part of the game. You have to uncover what to appreciate and value. But when you find something and you point it out and you show that you appreciate that, your game will change for the better. I've shared with you how I want you to view the online dating game as, well, a numbers game, and I do, but specifically, I want to kind of veer a little bit further beyond that. I want you to understand that negative experiences playing this game are inevitable. All right, it's not a matter of if you're going to have them because we all do. All right, trust me, everyone, the elite, we all have negative experiences from the top to the bottom. But here's the thing, you have to recognize that if you're going to play this game, your negative experiences are going to be inevitable, not just failures but negative experiences where people are shitty towards you. All right, maybe they shoot you down in a way that's not very sensitive, or maybe someone just feels real giddy behind their phone screen and they feel like popping off and saying something, or they're going to be inappropriate, whatever it is. You're going to have negative experiences, but that's part of the game. It's going to happen, especially when we're talking about, well, how people are going to behave behind a screen. All right. It's not always going to be the best. People can be extra rude, extra inappropriate, extra. It's just part of the experience. So I just want you to understand that part of this numbers game is acknowledging you're going to have negative experiences beyond your failure. So failure is one thing, but to have a failure that's a negative experience, that sucks. But you need to keep that perspective of, well, I knew this was going to happen. It's a numbers game. I was told it's inevitable. I understand it's inevitable. And when you do that, or when you have that mindset, you're going to be more comfortable playing this game. And that's going to lead you to more success because, trust me, the worst thing that can ever happen to you in any game of love is to become pessimistic and negative. If you can avoid that through a proper mindset that, well, shit, bad shit happens. Negative experiences are going to come my way. That's just the way this game happens. If you can do that, you'll be more optimistic and you'll have more success and you'll have a better time. You'll have more pleasure, success, results playing this online dating game. It's the best way to play it. That's the way I want you to. It's not easy to accept or embrace failure, but that's something that you specifically have to do if you're going to play any game of love. Especially this online dating game. This is the level of failure like you've never experienced before because there's so many more opportunities for you to both succeed and fail. But in this game, like any other game of love, it's going to be mostly failing. So what you need to do is just become someone who embraces and becomes comfortable with failure. What can it teach me? What sort of this is just part of the process. You have to understand that it's not going to be just all roses playing this online dating game, just like it's not all roses playing any other game of love. But when you can embrace, like, this is just part of the process, maybe I can learn something from it, or maybe I can just not waste my time on something that's not meant for me. When you can embrace failure better, you're going to have a much better experience. And again, when you have a better sort of mindset towards how this game actually plays out rather than how you would prefer it would play out, then you can have a better experience filled with, well, more pleasure, more success, just because that's the way it's just going to start tumbling with all that positive momentum. The online dating game is very different from the other games of love, like, say, attraction or dating. Those are games that play out in person versus the online dating game, which takes place online in a virtual cyber environment. And that means that the participation of human beings is going to be very different. Okay, in person, there are a lot of things that we would be too scared, intimidated, or uncomfortable to say or do. I mean, come on, in person, the attraction game, walking over to a complete stranger that we're interested in or attracted to get to know them, very scary and intimidating to most, and you're not ready to probably do that very often. But here's the thing, when it comes to online dating, that virtual environment makes everybody extra courageous and extra bold. And that's going to be really good for you and sometimes really bad. But I know the good outweighs the bad. So here's the thing, understand that in a good way, it's going to make people extra bold to participate, to communicate, to take their shot, to say things that are open and honest, to be vulnerable. It makes people extra bold in a good way for promoting positive connections from the online dating world, right? But at times, if things go sour, it can make people extra bold. And what do we know about how people interact when they're online? Well, look at YouTube, Facebook, or other things. Now, I know online dating isn't necessarily purely anonymous, but really, you're not going to run into most of these people, and maybe you could just get their first name. So it is relatively anonymous, and that makes people feel extra bold at times when they're salty to say mean things, to be rude or inappropriate or be a bitch or an asshole, whatever you want to call it. It's going to make people extra bold to be that way, but those are going to be rare experiences. And when you do experience them, I want you to know two things. One is you can quickly exit that encounter. You don't have to engage in that, and I encourage you not to. And the second thing is, you're just going to have to know that the good outweighs the bad. And when you remember that, you're like, all right, disregard, get rid of this person. I'm going to move on. And if you generally understand that the good outweighs the bad as far as the bold behavior you're going to experience and how that promotes the connections that you're looking for, that will be a game changer because I know it's not the best feeling to go through a negative experience, but they're going to happen. So you need to understand this and remember that that good is going to outweigh the bad, and people will expectedly expect it. This is not going to be something that surprises you, okay? I think about surprises, everybody's okay with a good surprise, but bad surprises are the worst, right? Well, this isn't going to be a bad surprise because it won't be a bad surprise to you. You're going to know that at times, especially if someone's feeling salty, they might get a little butthurt and be whatever negative, and they're going to be extra bold to do that. But that's because they're in this environment. Handle it properly. Keep your mind the in the right place, and you'll be just fine. And you'll be on your way to moving on to someone else and other success in the online dating game. One of the best mindsets that I can encourage you to embrace to play this online dating game is to not care so much what strangers think. All right. Now, yes, we're playing a game where it's all about people assessing you and either qualifying or disqualifying you, rejecting or accepting you. Yes, that's true. However, we also need to keep the perspective that, in essence, they're strangers. They're people who only understand or know us as two-dimensional figures. They see our pictures, they see our written content, and maybe they've had some text communication with us.
those are still essentially strangers, I would think. You haven't even met them in person. So these aren't your friends, your families, your coworkers, or anyone that really has met you in person and knows you. Essentially, we have to remember these are strangers. And when we're playing the online dating game, you're going to experience so much failure. You're going to be rejected by a lot of people, and you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And not everyone is going to be impressed by you. That's not a knock on you necessarily. Now, at times, maybe, yeah, we don't need to entirely think that the only thing that matters is what I believe, what I think. I'm the judge and jury. That's not the sort of thing that I want you to do. But I want you to have the perspective that I shouldn't care so fucking much what a stranger thinks of me. All right. When you do that, you can walk through this online dating game with your head held high and participate and not feel like every sort of rejection or every sort of non acceptance is going to be like a gut punch. You'll walk through them like they're nothing. That's what I want for you because the online dating game is going to be filled with so much negativity, so much rejection, so much failure that you have to make ways mentally of making sense of it. And one of the best ways that you can make sense of it to keep yourself productive and positive and successful is to understand I don't think I really care that much what strangers think of me. So if they like me, great. If you don't, whatever. I don't care. You're a stranger. On to the next person. Someone else might like me more. Remember that, you'll have a better experience. Have you ever regretted the amount of time and energy that you invested into an online dating connection because, well, it never pans out? Here's the thing that's an easy and very common mistake in this online dating game to invest improperly. Sometimes we invest in the wrong connections. Sometimes we invest too much too soon. And sometimes we invest in someone to the detriment of focusing or being able to distribute our focus on other opportunities. Those are all common mistakes of investment in the online dating game. And look, it's easy to make these mistakes happen because you see pictures and you think people are attractive. It's easy to become enamored with them. You read the profile, you like all sorts of things about them and you think, "Man, we have so much in common." Or you have great conversation even with people and you think, "What a great connection. They're really special." Look, there's nothing wrong with valuing a connection that you're making. I want you to, but you need to do so in a better way, in a strategic way. And that's why I created my 6 out of 10 rule. What it does is it allows you to, well, think highly of someone, but put a cap on it. Okay, so the most that you should value someone before you've met them in person is 6 out of 10. So tops, 6. Cap it there, no matter how attractive they are, no matter how good the conversation, no matter how much you think you have in common until you meet them in person, cap their value to you at 6 out of 10. You can't value them more than that before you've met them in person. And then when you do meet them in person, by all means, you can look at the connection that you have and decide if you want to elevate their status to perceive of them as being more important or having more value. That's fine once you've met them in person, but this really protects you from investing improperly or getting your heart broken or just having a negative experience with online dating because the truth is, oftentimes you do need this protection. Online dating connections are not always going to pan out. You won't always meet them. Some people will disappear off an online dating platform or stop responding, and you don't know why. And sometimes we'll never know why. There's so many other reasons why this can happen. And sometimes you'll understand that you invest in someone and then you do meet them and they don't pan out. They don't look like their pictures, or the connection in person isn't what you expected. It wasn't just that connection that you'd been building it up to be. You thought they were already 9 out of 10 and you were expecting that 9 out of 10 person in person, and they're not. It was disappointing, and then you're like, I invested all this time and energy into this person. I feel like I made a mistake. And then you start beating yourself up, or you realize so much time wasted, or so many opportunities that you missed out on, or could have missed out on. So here's what you do just follow that 6 out of 10 rule, protect yourself, and just understand that you don't want to value someone before they deserve it. Once they do deserve it, by all means, value someone. That's good, but just protect yourself. 6 out of 10. This video is part of a free 8-video online dating 101 playlist covering everything you need to know about how to play the online dating game. Be sure to check out the rest of the 101 playlist and then head over to thegameoflove.us and take advantage of the free resources in the 101 appendix and learn more about my online course, The Online Dating Game Strategy Guide. It builds upon your 101 foundation and teaches you better strategies so that you can win more, faster, and easier. Thanks for watching. If you appreciated the content, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you believe that learning about better strategies for life and love is advantageous, I invite you to join Get Game Group. Membership is free. Open a Men and Women offers weekly game video lessons and a weekly mailbag for member submissions. Click the link in the description to join.